Milo stood on the hill behind the base, watching the sky turn orange. The sun was setting, but his eyes were fixed on the stars above. He knew which one her ship would pass soon. That was the last goodbye. Luma was not from Earth. She came from a distant planet called Thaline. Her skin was soft silver, and her eyes always looked like they could see more than anyone else. She spoke slowly, kindly, and always smiled when Milo spoke to her, even if he was just talking about broken wires or noisy engines. She had arrived with the first peaceful mission from another world. At first, people were afraid. Some wanted to hide, others wanted to fight. But Luma stayed calm. She helped, listened, and waited. Over time, she became Earth's most trusted friend from the stars. Milo, a simple ship engineer, never expected to be close to someone like her. He fixed things, stayed quiet, and liked machines more than people. But somehow, Luma found comfort in his silence, and he found peace in her presence. They had spent 5 years working together. She taught him about alien machines, and he showed her how humans made things work with less. She laughed when he built a water filter from old food cans. He smiled when she powered it using light from her hand. But all good things end. Her people had called her back. A message arrived from the stars: return to Thaline. The galaxy needs you elsewhere. She didn't say much, just that it was a diplomatic mission, one she had to do alone. Milo had wanted to say something, anything, but he wasn't good with words, so when the day came, he just helped her pack her things and walked her to her ship. Now, he stood on that quiet hill, watching the small silver ship rise into the sky. It blinked once, twice, then faded like a star behind clouds. And, just like that, she was gone. The months passed slowly. Earth returned to its usual pace. The excitement of meeting a new species faded into old news. People moved on. Milo did not. He still came to the same hill every evening, still looked at the sky, still listened to the stars. Some nights, he carried an old radio scanner and sat for hours, hoping to catch a signal, a sound, a voice, anything. But there was only silence. The space agency announced a year later that Luma's ship had likely been lost. A solar storm was seen in the path she took. No trace of the ship was found, not even a signal. They marked her as missing in deep space. Milo didn't believe it. He refused to. He retired from the agency quietly. No big farewell. No party. He just packed his tools and left. People said he was too quiet, too lost in the past. But Milo didn't care. Back in his small home near the sea, he worked on old machines, repaired fishing boats, fixed old radios. Every night, he stepped outside and looked at the stars. Come back, he would whisper, even if no one could hear. 5 years passed. One morning, a knock came at Milo's door. It was early, too early for visitors. He opened it to find a young officer from the space agency, out of breath. Mr. Milo, the officer said. We found something. Milo blinked. What? The officer held out a tablet, a signal. Near Saturn. It's her voice. The room at the space agency was filled with quiet voices and blinking lights. On a large screen, a signal was playing on loop. A soft, broken voice repeated the same line. Milo, this is not the end. This is the beginning. He knew that voice, even broken, even weak. It was her. It was Luma. The signal came from a drifting pod near Saturn's rings. No ship, just the pod. A rescue mission was already on its way, and they wanted Milo to come. At first, he said no. He had left that life. But deep inside, something told him this moment mattered. That maybe, just maybe, he'd get to see her again. The ship Hope Ray was new, faster than anything before. They reached Saturn, and for days, the pod floated silently. In the dark, its surface glowing dimly. It opened the moment the crew approached. Inside, lying quietly with eyes closed, was Luma. She was alive. When Luma finally woke up, her eyes searched the room. Then they stopped on Milo. She smiled softly, tired but peaceful. Then she reached into her pocket and pulled out a small, glowing object. It looked like a stone, but it pulsed like it was alive. She placed it gently in Milo's hand. "This is yours," she said. The object in Milo's hand was small and smooth, like a river stone. It glowed with a gentle blue light, and it felt warm, almost alive. He stared at it, unsure what to say. Round him, the crew stood quietly, watching Luma. With wide eyes, she looked tired. Her silver skin was dull, and her voice was weak. But when she spoke again, her words were clear. "They gave it to me, but it was never meant for me." She said, "It's meant for you, Milo." Milo frowned. "Who gave this to you?" Luma closed her eyes for a moment. "They don't have a name. Not like we do. They live between places, between stars, between time. I was lost. They found me." No one in the room said anything for a while. The captain, a quiet man named Rilo, stepped forward. "We found your pod floating near Saturn. There was no ship, just you and a strange energy signal." Luma nodded slowly. "My ship was taken, not destroyed." "Taken?" "I was inside the fold." "The fold?" Rilo asked. She turned her eyes to him. "It's not a place humans have seen. Not yet. It's where space bends, a hidden part of the galaxy. Many enter, few return." Milo felt a cold shiver in his chest. He remembered the old stories, ships vanishing without reason. Lost probes. The fold had been a mystery for years. Some said it didn't exist at all. "You were there?" he asked. She nodded. "Yes, and I saw things." "Milo, things not meant for most minds. But they didn't hurt me. They studied me. Then they asked me to carry something, and to give it to you." Milo stared at the glowing object again. It pulsed gently in his palm, like a heartbeat. "But why me?" he whispered. Luma's voice was soft. "Because you build, you repair, you see worth in broken things. They believe you will understand what must come next." The crew took Luma to the medical bay, but she insisted she was fine. She needed rest, not medicine. Her body was healing. But slowly, Milo sat alone in his room on the ship, still holding the strange object. He placed it on the table and watched it. It changed color slightly as he moved closer, from blue to a soft green. He tried scanning it with the ship's tools, but nothing worked. No readings, no heat, no mass change, no data. It was as if the object was hiding itself. But when he placed his hand on it, it reacted. A small image appeared above the stone, 3 glowing points of light connected by lines, a star map, and at the center, a blinking red dot. He didn't recognize the pattern. It wasn't Earth's sky, but something deep in his memory stirred. The stars didn't match human charts. They were older, ancient. The door beeped softly. Rilo entered, holding a data pad. "We've checked your object," he said. "It gives off no signal we can track, but it matches a pattern we've seen before." He handed Milo the pad. On the screen was a picture taken from an old probe, a carved wall on a dead planet, symbols, dots, and shapes, including the same star map. This was from the planet Ori 9, Rilo explained. Thousands of years old. No known life. But someone marked these stars? Milo felt his heart beat faster. So the map is real. Rilo nodded. "Yes, and now we think it's a location. Luma says it's important. She keeps calling it the heart of the fold." Later that night, Milo visited Luma again. She sat up now, looking stronger. The glow had returned to her skin. Just a little. He placed the object on the table between them. "You said this is a key," he said. "Yes," she replied. "Not to open a door, but to start something." "What exactly?" Luma looked out the window, where stars slowly passed by. "A memory, a warning, a guide. The ones who gave it to me, they are ancient, more ancient than time. They do not move like we do. They watch, wait, and choose. And they've chosen you." Milo shook his head slowly. "I'm no hero. You don't need to be," Luma said gently. "You only need to listen, to follow, to understand. That's why they chose you, not the captains, not the scientists, not the leaders. You build from broken pieces. That is what this galaxy needs." The next morning, the ship Hope Ray changed course. With the help of Luma's directions and the map from the object, They set a new path toward a system deep beyond known space. The crew was nervous. Some whispered about the fold, about the danger. But others were curious, hopeful. Earth had always reached forward, even when afraid. As the ship flew forward, the stars outside seemed to shift slightly, as if they knew something was coming. Milo stood by the window. He didn't speak much. He rarely did. But inside, something had awakened, a feeling he hadn't known in years. Not fear, not doubt, but a sense of purpose. Luma walked up beside him. She looked calm now, peaceful. He looked at her and asked, "What will we find out there?" She smiled. "Not an end, Milo," she said. "A beginning." The journey through deep space was quiet, but not boring. Every day, the stars looked different. The crew of Hope Ray stayed alert. Most of them had never traveled this far before. Beyond the charts, beyond the maps, into the unknown. Milo spent most of his time in the observation room, holding the glowing object in his hands. It never stopped pulsing gently, like a heartbeat, like it was alive. Each day, it showed him new patterns, moving lights, strange symbols, and distant coordinates. He didn't understand most of it, but Luma said it was teaching him. "It speaks in patterns," she explained one evening, sitting across from him. "Not in language. It shows ideas, not words." Milo nodded slowly. "Like a puzzle?" "More like a memory," she said. "But not just one memory. Many, from long ago. Before Earth had ships, before even my world had stories." Milo leaned back in his chair. How could anything live that long? Luma looked out the window at the stars. "Some things do not live the way we understand. They exist in layers, outside of time. They do not die, they become silent, until someone wakes them. And now we're waking them." Milo said. She turned to him. "Yes, and they are watching." After 10 days, Hope Ray reached the system shown on the star map. No human or alien ships had ever recorded this region. It was empty, cold, and wrapped in a thick fog of cosmic dust. But at the center was something strange, an old space station, floating alone, untouched by time. No power, no signal, but still whole. It was shaped like a spiral, with arms that reached out like waves, frozen in space. Milo stood beside the captain as the ship approached. "That's not human," Rilla whispered. "It's not from any known race," said one of the science officers. "Nothing in the galactic database matches." Luma stepped forward. "It is called a beacon. The ones who built it were called the architects. They were here long before us. They watched the stars grow. They built places like this, and then vanished." "Why did they vanish?" Milo asked. "No one knows," she replied. "But I think they were waiting for someone to find this place. They sent a small team to explore the station." Milo, Luma, and two crew members entered through a docking bay covered in strange markings. The walls inside were smooth and dark, like black glass, but strong. No signs of damage. As they walked through the long halls, lights began to flicker on, soft white lights that glowed as they passed. It was as if the station knew they were there. "It's waking up," Luma whispered. They reached a central chamber. Inside was a round platform with a shallow bowl at the center. Around the walls were carvings, not words but images. Milo walked closer. The carvings showed stars, planets, ships, and people, human people. A tall figure held a small glowing object just like the one in Milo's hand. Other beings stood around, watching. Some looked like aliens. Others were shapes he couldn't understand. Milo stepped onto the platform and placed the object into the bowl. The room lit up. A soft hum filled the air, and a voice, not a real voice, but something deeper, spoke inside their minds. "Welcome. You have carried the key. You have been seen." The walls began to move. Light formed a map like a galaxy, but bigger than anything they had ever seen. More stars. More systems. Hidden places. Lost places. The voice continued. "The architects gave light to the first travelers. Then they waited. When they saw the light in you, they chose again." Milo took a step back. "They chose us?" Luma nodded slowly. "Yes, not to rule, not to conquer, but to guide, to rebuild what was lost." The voice spoke once more. The path is now open, but the test remains. Will you carry the light forward or let it fade again? Then the light faded, and the chamber went silent. Back on the Hope Ray, the crew was buzzing with energy. The scans from the station showed new data maps, codes, and locations of ancient places long forgotten. The device had unlocked the heart of the station, and now it seemed the next part of the journey was clear. But there was something else. At the edge of the system, a strange ripple appeared, like a wave in the sky. It didn't belong. The ship's sensors couldn't explain it. Luma stared at it from the window. They followed us. Who? Rilo asked. The ones from the fold, she said softly. They are not evil, but they are curious. They do not like when others touch things not meant for them. Milo stood beside her. Are they dangerous? They are powerful, she answered. But they also want answers. If we show fear, they may turn away. If we show truth, they may listen. The crew gathered in the meeting room. This gift, Rilo said, pointing at the object in Milo's hand, could change everything. New knowledge, new systems, maybe even new life. But it's also a responsibility. Milo looked around. Everyone's eyes were on him, strange, for someone who once fixed broken pipes in silence. He took a deep breath. This isn't just a gift, he said. It's a question, and we have to answer it. Not just with ships or machines, but with who we are. Luma smiled. That night, as the ship rested in orbit around the beacon, Milo sat alone in his room. The object glowed softly beside him, but this time, it showed something new. A single line of light stretching forward into darkness. At the end of it's something waiting. He didn't know what it was, but he knew now. It was only the beginning. The air inside the ancient station was cool and still. Milo, Luma, and the exploration team moved carefully through the dark halls. The soft white light still glowed where they walked, guiding their steps like a gentle hand. This place is alive, Milo whispered. Luma nodded. In a way, it is. The architects built this to last not just for years, but for ages, to protect what they thought the galaxy might one day need. They reached a large chamber deep inside the station. The walls curved high above, covered in symbols and images carved into the black glass. Milo walked closer, his eyes wide. Among the carvings, he saw something strange, a scene that looked like a group of people sleeping in pods. Some were human, some were alien, but all looked peaceful. What are those? Milo asked. They are called the Hidden Ones, Luma said softly. The architects created these pods to protect life during the hardest times, when darkness falls. They sleep, waiting for a new dawn. Milo's gaze moved over the carvings. Again, one image showed a person waking from a pod, holding a glowing object the same as his. Could this be us? He asked. Perhaps, Luma replied, or those who came before us. The architects believed in cycles, times of light and times of shadow. They hid their knowledge, hoping someone would find it. When the time was right, suddenly, a soft hum filled the room. The walls pulsed faintly. Lights flickered and a hidden door slowly slid open. Milo stepped forward, heart pounding. Beyond the door was a long hall lined with the sleeping pods. Each pod was clear and smooth, glowing faintly with blue light. Inside, figures lay still, their breathing steady. Are they alive? Asked one crew member quietly. Yes, Luma said, but in a deep sleep, waiting for the day they will be needed. Milo felt a strange mix of awe and sadness. These people had waited here, alone, for who knows how long. One pod was different. It had markings that matched the glowing object in Milo's hand. Luma touched the pod gently. This is the one meant for you. The crew looked at Milo. He didn't know what to say. The station's systems slowly came to life. Lights brightened, and soft voices echoed through unseen speakers. The voice from before returned, not loud, but clear. You have awakened the Hidden Ones. The time of waiting ends. A holographic image appeared above the platform, showing the galaxy with shining dots. Some stars blinked as if alive. Luma studied the image. The Fold Dwellers are near. They do not want the Hidden Ones to wake. The Fold Dwellers? Milo repeated. They are beings who live in the space between moments. They guard secrets. They fear change. Milo clenched his fists. Why do they fear us? Because humanity is different, Luma said. We do not give up. We do not hide. We build from broken things. That scares them. The hologram shifted. It showed paths between stars-hidden wormholes and safe routes through the fold. This station, Luma said, is a key to travel through the fold safely. Milo looked around the room. So, this is more than a station. It's a gateway. Yes, she replied. And soon, it will be open. That night, Milo couldn't sleep. He returned to the pod marked for him. He placed the glowing object on the pod's surface. It pulsed faster, and the pod's lid began to open slowly. Inside, there was a small chamber filled with light. Milo could see images flowing inside his mind, memories, knowledge. Feelings. He saw ancient ships traveling between stars. He felt the hope of those who built this place. He understood, somehow, that this was not just technology, it was a gift of trust. When the pod's lid fully opened, Milo reached inside and touched a panel. The station responded. Holographic symbols floated before him, showing the history of the architects and the hidden ones. They were protectors of life, builders of peace. Milo understood the message clearly. The galaxy had fallen into silence before, but it could rise again. The next day, the crew gathered for a meeting. The captain spoke quietly. We found more than we expected. This station holds power and knowledge, but it also carries danger. Luma nodded. The fold dwellers will test us. They want to know if we are ready. Milo looked around the room. What can we do? Show them who we are, Luma said. Show them that humans can carry hope, that we do not fear the unknown. The captain smiled. Then let's prepare. Outside the station, the strange ripple in space grew stronger. The sensors detected energy unlike anything before. The fold was opening. Milo stood by the window and looked into the dark void. He thought of Luma, of the hidden ones, and the glowing key in his hand. He thought of Earth, small but full of life. And he knew that the real journey was just beginning. The air on the Hope Ray was tense. Everyone felt it, a silent weight pressing on their minds as the ship approached the edge of the fold. The strange ripple in space had grown into a swirling curtain of colors. Bending and twisting like liquid light, Milo stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the view screen. The fold was not like any place he had ever seen. It was like the universe itself was folding in on itself, hiding secrets behind waves of energy. Captain, said the navigator, our sensors are picking up something or someone. Approaching fast. Rilo turned, his face calm but serious. Show me. The screen shifted. A dark shape appeared at the edge of the folded ship. But unlike any human or known alien design, it was sleek and smooth, almost like a shadow moving through the stars. Luma's eyes narrowed. The fold dwellers. The ship moved closer. It did not respond to hails or signals. We are not here to fight, Luma said firmly. They want to test us. Milo felt a cold shiver run down his spine. Test us? How? They believe. No one should carry the knowledge of the architects unless they prove they are worthy. They watch and judge. Rilo nodded. Then we will show them. The Hope Ray raised its shields and moved slowly toward the fold dweller's ship. A voice echoed inside the ship, a deep sound that filled their minds. Why do you seek the fold? Luma stepped forward. To learn, to protect, to build a better future. The voice answered. Many have come, few have returned. Why should you be different? Milo felt the words like a challenge. He stepped forward, holding the glowing object. Because we carry hope, he said quietly. Because we do not fear what is broken. Because we build from the pieces. The voice was silent for a moment. Then it spoke again. Prove it. Suddenly, the ship shook. The stars outside twisted and blurred. The fold had pulled them into its heart, a place where time moved strangely. And space folded like paper. The crew struggled to keep control. Lights flickered. An alarm sounded. Hold on. Rilo shouted. When the shaking stopped, they found themselves in a strange space between stars and reality. It was dark, but filled with glowing shapes like stars trapped in glass bubbles. The Fold Dweller's ship appeared again, blocking their path. A projection of the deep voice appeared on their view screen. To pass, you must complete the challenge, Milo. Looked around. The crew was tense but ready. What is the challenge? Rilo asked. You will face what you fear most. Not in body, but in mind. Show us your truth. The ship's lights dimmed. Milo felt a strange sensation like falling into water, but awake. He closed his eyes and suddenly found himself in a vast field. The sky was red and the ground cracked. In the distance, he saw a small village burning. He ran toward it, heart pounding. People screamed. He saw a young child crying, trapped under a fallen beam. Milo reached out, but his hands passed through the beam. No, he shouted, trying again. Voice whispered in his mind, you cannot save them. You are too late. Milo's chest tightened. He remembered his childhood on Earth fires, loss, moments he could not change. Tears came to his eyes. I'm not a hero. I'm just a fixer. Suddenly, the scene changed. He was standing alone on a cold, empty planet. A voice echoed behind him. Why do you continue? When all is lost, Milo turned. There was no one there, only silence. He felt despair, but then remembered Luma's words, we build from broken things. He took a deep breath, because hope is stronger than fear, because even broken things can shine. Back on the ship, Milo opened his eyes. The strange vision ended. The lights returned. The crew looked relieved. ILO smiled. You passed. The voice spoke one last time. You carry the light. The fold welcomes you. Then the fold parted before them, opening a clear path through the stars. Milo looked out the window. Beyond the fold was a new galaxy bright, full of unknown worlds. Luma stepped beside him. We have passed the test, but our journey is just beginning. The Hope Ray moved forward, deeper into the new galaxy. The object in Milo's hand pulsed brighter than ever. He understood now. The gift was not just knowledge or power. It was a responsibility. To protect. To learn. To build a future where hope would never fade. The Hope Ray floated through the fold's far end, now in a place no human ship had ever been before. This new galaxy was calm, almost too calm. The stars were bright. The space around them was clear. And the silence was deep. Milo sat in the command room, staring at the wide screen. The glowing object in his hand had stopped pulsing. It's quiet, he said softly. Luma stood behind him. Yes, this place hasn't seen visitors for a very long time. The crew was busy checking systems. Everything was stable, but they all felt it. Something was here, something old and waiting. Captain, the science officer called. We're picking up a faint signal. Where is it coming from? Rilo asked. From the center of this galaxy, a single repeating tone. It sounds like music. Luma stepped forward quickly. That's not a signal. That's a beacon. One from the architects, following the signal. They traveled for 2 days. The stars grew brighter and strange. Clouds of light shimmered in the distance. Milo spent much of his time alone, studying the glowing object. It no longer showed him patterns or maps. Now, it only gave warmth. One evening, Luma joined him. It's changing, he said. Yes, she nodded. Because you have changed. The object doesn't just lead, it reflects. Reflects what? Your heart, your thoughts, your purpose. Milo was silent for a moment. Do you think we're really ready for what's ahead? Luma looked at him with gentle eyes. No one is ever fully ready. But the architects didn't choose perfection. They chose potential. On the 3rd day, they reached it. A giant sphere floated in space, larger than any planet. Its surface was silver and smooth, glowing softly. It didn't spin. It didn't move. It simply waited. The signal came from within it. The Hope Ray stopped at a safe distance. The crew stared in silence. What is it? One whispered. Luma's voice was quiet. The heart of the architects. Rilo gave the command to prepare a shuttle. We're going in. Milo, Luma, and 2 crew members entered the shuttle and flew toward the sphere. As they neared, a part of the surface slowly opened, revealing a glowing tunnel. It's inviting us in, Luma said. The shuttle moved through the tunnel and entered a massive inner chamber. Everything inside was glowing with soft blue light. The walls pulsed gently, like they were breathing. Then the shuttle stopped. A voice spoke not out loud, but inside their minds. You have come far. You have passed the fold. Now listen. Milo stepped out of the shuttle. The others followed. In the center of the chamber was a platform. He walked toward it and placed the glowing object down. The entire chamber lit up. Images filled the air planets. Stars, people, ships, wars, peace. Time seemed to slow. Then a shape appeared in front of them. Not a person, not exactly, but something close. A being of light, calm and kind. It looked at Milo. We are the last memory of the architects. What you hold is a seed. It carries the code of life, the map of wisdom, and the strength of choice. Milo felt his breath catch. Why give it to us? The being answered, its voice soft, because your kind does not give up. You fall, and you rise. You lose, and you learn. You are not perfect, but you grow. Luma stepped forward. Are you still alive? The being's light dimmed slightly. Only in memory. We gave ourselves to the seed, so one day, someone like you could begin again. The images in the air changed. They showed dying stars, broken worlds, and then green planets, growing cities. People helping each other. Milo felt something deep in his heart, a truth he had always known, but never fully understood. Hope was not just a feeling. It was a decision. Suddenly, the chamber dimmed. A sound echoed, a soft hum, growing louder. Luma looked up sharply. Something is coming. Back on the Hope Ray, alarms rang out. Captain, there's a ship approaching. No, not a ship. Many ships. Rilo stood up. Who are they? The screen showed strange shapes, dark and fast. Luma's voice came through. The calm. They are the Forgotten. The Forgotten were once like the architects, but they chose control over growth. Long ago, they were cast out into the shadows of space. Now, they had returned. The being of light in the chamber spoke urgently. The seed must be protected. If they take it, all that we were will be lost. Milo picked up the seed. It pulsed again, brighter than ever before. What do we do? He asked. You must carry it to the next world. Let it grow. Let it teach. Let it lead. But how? Do we stop the Forgotten? The being looked at him. You do not fight with fear. You shine with truth. Show them what life can be. Back on the Hope Ray, the captain made a decision. Set a course for the nearest living world. We lead them away. Milo, keep the seed safe. Yes, sir, Milo replied, voice steady. As the Hope Ray moved, the Forgotten ships followed. But something changed. The seed glowed so brightly that its light stretched across the space between. The ships, for a moment, the Forgotten paused. Milo stood near the ship's front, holding the seed high. See us, he said calmly, not as enemies, but as what you once were. Some ships turned away, others stayed. The fight hadn't started, but a new question now burned through the stars. Would the past repeat, or would the future begin? The Hope Ray sailed through unknown space, leaving a trail of light behind it. The seed in Milo's hands shone brighter with each passing moment. The Forgotten ships had slowed their chase. Some still followed, but others had drifted into silence as if thinking, watching. Milo stood at the front of the ship, his heart steady. He looked through the large window. Where the stars stretched wide and endless, he knew the mission had changed. It was no longer about escaping. It was about planting something new, something lasting. We are approaching the world, the navigator said. Rilo, the captain, nodded. Bring us closer. On the screen, a blue-green planet came into view. It looked peaceful. Clouds swirled gently above oceans and forests. No signs of cities or machines, just nature. Luma smiled softly. This world is untouched. A perfect place. As the ship entered orbit, Milo felt the seed pulsing warmly in his hand, almost as if it knew where they were. Luma stepped beside him. This is the final step. The seed must be planted here, not in the ground, but in the hearts of those who will come. Milo looked confused. But there's no one here. There will be, she said. This planet is ready. Life will grow. One day, people will walk here, people who will carry the light. The ship landed gently near a wide valley with tall trees and clear streams. The sky above was calm, and birds circled peacefully overhead. Milo stepped out with the seed. The land welcomed him, no fear, no danger, just quiet. He walked to the center of a wide field and looked up at the sky. Then he placed the seed gently on the earth. It floated above the ground, glowing. Luma and the crew stood behind him, watching in silence. The seed began to expand, not in size, but in light. Glowing strands reached out into the air, forming patterns, symbols, stories. It was telling the truth of the architects, the journey of the hidden ones, the test of the fold, and the future yet to come. Suddenly, the sky darkened slightly. The forgotten ships had arrived. They hovered above the valley like great shadows. The crew raised their defenses. But Milo held up a hand. "Wait," he said. "Let them see." The light from the seed rose higher into the sky. It reached toward the forgotten ships like soft hands offering peace. One of the ships lowered to the ground. From its step to being tall, covered in dark, smooth armor, but not hostile. Milo stepped forward slowly. The being did not speak, but something passed between them. Understanding. Milo pointed to the seed. "This is what we protect, not power, not control, just life." The being looked at the glowing seed. Its armor dimmed, showing its true form, a face tired, but not cruel. Eyes that had seen too much. It slowly stepped back, then nodded once. The forgotten ships began to leave, one by one. No words were spoken, but something had changed. They had remembered. That night, the crew made a camp under the stars. The seed's light continued to glow in the valley, soft and steady, like a new sun had been born on this world. Luma sat beside the fire. "This is where it begins," Milo nodded. "But what happens now?" "We stay for a while," she said. "Watch, learn, then maybe return." Milo looked up at the stars. "Do you think Earth will ever know?" Luma smiled. "One day. Yes, not from a message or a report, but from what grows here, from what spreads out into the stars." Months passed. The world began to change. From the seed's light, small plants grew, glowing with energy, rich in life. The air became clearer. The animals thrived. Even the ground seemed to hum with new energy. And then, one day, the first new being was born. Not from a womb, not from a lab, but from the seed's light, a child of light and soil, of memory and hope. The crew watched as the child opened its eyes and smiled at Milo. It took his hand, and in a voice like music, said, "Thank you." Years later, a new ship arrived from Earth. The humans stepped out, confused and amazed. They found a valley full of life, a city made of crystal and light, and people, humans, beings of light, and even former forgotten, living in peace. At the center stood Milo, now older, wiser. They asked him, "What is this place?" He smiled. "This," he said, "is what began when she returned and said, 'This is yours.'" The seed never stopped glowing, and the stars never stopped watching, because one small act of hope became the dawn of everything. The end.